The other big thing, my hope, I've said this before and I've been burnt on it before, but I think we might see the return of Jordan Spieth. When I found out he had consulted with Butch Harmon, I was like, all right, that's good. He's willing to do anything that it takes. Because for a long time, Fred, he was doing this thing where he's going, I'm not in a slump. This is golf. I'm finding it. He was kind of defensive about it. I don't know if I told this story on your podcast before, but I took my son to go see him. And it was when Jordan was kind of at his peak. And he makes a double bogey on this kind of gettable par 5. And he's walking off the green. He's pissed. So he sees the leaderboard and he's kind of cursing to himself. And, you know, he's got a sister with special needs. That's been well documented. Well, she's sitting on the back of a cart and he's mad. He's in the middle of this tournament. He sees her. And I said to Max, I go, watch this. He gathered himself, turned the corner, big smile. Hey, sits on the cart with her, hugs her, and the cart drives off because they had to drive him to the next tee box. It was so far away. And I said, Max, that's who that guy is.
Golf Smarter number 778. 2020 is now hindsight. But we've got Matty B with a skewered view of what to expect in 2021.
This is Golf Smarter. Sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Greene.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Matty B. You two-timing son of... What do you mean you have your own podcast?
Well, I learned from the best, Fred.
Who are you working radio?
Yeah, this almost didn't happen this year. We're a little late, but it was all my fault. Mea culpa. I had some travel issues, a couple of health little things.
Yeah,
non-COVID
okay?
related.
Yes,
I'm
I know.
okay. I had a little health thing.
You want to talk about it? You want to share?
Sure. No, yeah, I just had a little health thing that was lingering, and I had to get a little procedure done. I'm okay, non-COVID related, so that cost us a couple weeks, and then I had to travel, and I wanted to get it done before I traveled, and all behind me now. So let's talk golf.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear it. But first, I want to hear are you still doing Oak Island? I'm sorry, I'm not a paranormal TV guy, but there are a lot of them.
No, it's okay. Yeah, there are. I'm still working on the Curse of Oak Island, yes. And now, in fact, my role has grown. I'm also hosting or co-hosting with Rick and Marty Lagina, the two stars of the main show. We're doing a show now called Beyond Oak Island, in which we look at treasure mysteries.
Have you been doing that for a while? Or is this
Beyond Oak Island? First season was this year of Beyond Oak Island. And in fact, as we record this, it won't be true when it airs, but as we record this, the final episode of season 1 of Beyond Oak Island airs tonight, actually, for season 1. So it's been awesome. And the Curse of Oak Island continues to be a phenomenon. It's the number 1 rated non-scripted show on cable by a mile. It kills everything. So the only thing it doesn't beat is the news lately. The news has been beating us because it's like election night. It's a Tuesday night. But we're still first in terms of what we're compared to, you know?
Right. But still, that's going to end soon. Now that his Twitter feed is gone, it seems to be, it's no need to wake up in the morning and check out the news feed going, now what happened? Oh no. I don't want to get
news is over now.
Yeah, right. There is no more news. I was saying the other day, remember the Roaring 20s? I'm looking forward to the Boring 20s.
Yeah, right.
Quiet, please.
Nice and quiet.
Right. So it's hard. I mean, we would end a year talking about the previous year's PGA Tour, and because of the delays in your travel and your health issues, we had to push that back. So we're already in January, and it's almost like that is so long ago. But there are some things about the 2020 season that I think we should recap. I know it's not a MattyB Award recap, but I think we should talk about them briefly at best.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was such a weird year in everything that happened. And it's funny, golf became like a great barometer for all of us in a way, the PGA Tour specifically, for how serious things are getting with the pandemic. Because do you remember they were the last ones to close it up. They were at the Players, weren't they? It was in March. Yeah, like March 9th, I think it was, or early March. They had come from the Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill. And as I remember, and your listeners will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think then they were at the Players at TPC, the Players Stadium course, the Sawgrass, which I've actually played, which is an awesome course. But
how many balls you put in the water on that hole?
I shot a tiny little 110 or so.
I know, but that isn't TPC Sawgrass the island hole where you
I actually parred that hole. I sculled one. I sculled
and it across the water. No.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I sculled one. I go, oh, that's going to be over the backside. So, it was like a thin, I think, whatever, 9-iron or 8-iron. I don't remember what I hit. And because we weren't back where they are. I was kind of like to the side tees. I'm a little closer than they are. They're tucked way back. So, well, that's just where they were that day. I think those ones were closed. As I remember, there was like mats. But anyway, whatever I hit, I sculled it, and it somehow stopped on the back of the green. I don't know how, and I two-putted. But that was about the only good part of the day. But that's when it's funny, like everybody else was locking down. And I remember going like, well, golf's outside. This is good. Mm-hmm. This feels like we've got some semblance of life. As long as I can watch these guys, things don't seem as scary as long as I can watch these guys play golf on TV in a way. And then when they shut it down, you went, oh man, this is serious. I remember golfers being interviewed on the stairs of the TPC and going like, I guess I got to go home. Like, this is bad. Like, that's where we were at in the pandemic. So golf in my mind is seared in my mind.
It was also showing that these guys were like, yeah, it's just going to disappear, and it's like, no, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think I remember hearing like talk radio at that time too, driving around going like, and they're going, I remember it distinctly now, knowing what we know now, but I remember hearing people say like, I mean, are we going to be able to go to like games and stuff next, like the rest of the year? Like no one knew how bad this thing was going to, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's probably a lot of wishful thinking going on at that time, but I remember being comforted by golf and then very quickly not being comforted by golf. Like, oh boy, if they're shutting down and this thing's outside.
Yeah. Right. Baseball and then
we had
spring training. Right. Baseball was in spring training, not figuring out what they were going to do. Basketball, they had a game scheduled, and all of a sudden they went, yeah, everyone go home. And then that was it. Basketball.
Right. Yep. And then as I remembered Augusta, so then after that, they do like a swing down to Texas and the PGA Tour. And then there's a couple other tournaments, but then Augusta, the Masters came and said, we're canceling. Kind of everything started canceling, and they started picking them off one by one and rescheduling, like when they go to Fort Worth, like when you always see, that Texas swing, they started rescheduling. And then finally we kind of got a little bit of a season together when the summer hit. No crowd, obviously, no gallery, which I wanted your opinion on that, Fred. What did you think? And I know you're not, you don't specialize in the PGA Tour. You don't really talk about it in your podcast, but I know you do keep an eye on it from time to time. What were your thoughts about watching tournaments without galleries?
My first thought was this is going to be really interesting. Because clearly the crowd, they're there. And how are these guys going to be like the old school guys? How are they going to perform without the crowd there? I know that, like Tiger fed off of those people,
right,
and others,
right.
Brooks Koepka, probably, I would say, Jordan Spieth, those kind of guys. And Sergio, like the list, you can go on for a long time. These guys were feeding off the crowd and learned how to do that. But then there were these young guns that were coming up that weren't used to big crowds. And it was like, how are they going to perform? Is it going to be easier for them? And I've over the year in the podcast, I've asked a lot of teachers, will they perform, these young guys, will they perform better because it feels like when they were doing junior golf and college golf, there's nobody around.
Right.
And then Colin Morikawa comes and in San Francisco at Harding Park and wins that major. Mm-hmm. And it was like, maybe that does have an impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seemed to allow, it makes sense. It'll like allow, because if you take the pressure off of the crowd, it will allow maybe some players who would get normally psyched out by that stuff. They can just sneak right in and play kind of pressure-free golf in a way. For them, it must feel like a regular round at times when you don't have, those roars and those distractions. I can tell you, I certainly don't miss You the Man. I don't miss get in the hole. I don't miss Bubba Booey. I don't miss hit him with the hind. Like it was nice to hear a golf ball get struck and just hear silence. Right?
Absolutely. And the other part that I really enjoyed was not only the silence, but when they did the Masters, when they finally came back to Augusta, to be able to see that golf course with no fans, it was the first time that I ever really recognized the undulation that they talk about that you don't get to see when there's so many people there. You really can't tell. But this time it was really obvious to me. I guess it's also because they're hitting the ball so much farther. They're cutting these corners and you see them going up and down and up and down. But Augusta was amazingly different. And I thought, fabulous. It's like, get the noise out of here. We don't need these people here. Let them just play golf.
It was very relaxing. It was very zen experience. I really loved it. I know a lot of people that I follow on golf Twitter and friends of mine who are very into golf didn't like it. I found it very relaxing. I loved it. I don't want it forever because there is something about that big moment, that big putt. You hear that big roar. I mean, that's exhilarating too.
Oh, but yeah. Also, when you see a guy in a tee box, on a guy who's on a tee box about to tee off, and all of a sudden he has to step back because there's a roar, 3 greens over or something.
Yes. So
awesome.
it'll be nice to have it back, but I enjoyed the reprieve, and I agree. Seeing Augusta like that and seeing Augusta in the fall was really cool too. A little burnt out here and there. It wasn't the perfect course that it's always seen in the spring. So that was kind of nice. And the fact that we get another one soon, this spring, you get almost 2 in a row. That's really cool. I just thought of something we could do actually, since we're not doing the traditional Matties.
And we're going to keep that thought because we're going to discuss what it is right after this. So, what you got in mind?
So I was thinking, we just mentioned before that break, things that we didn't mind about there not being a gallery. So I thought maybe we could play a little game and then your audience can participate through social media and stuff when they hear this episode. I would love to talk to you about what you want to keep post-pandemic in golf that was born of the pandemic, because I've got a few in mind. Things that we created because of this pandemic that I don't want to see go away once everyone gets a vaccine and this thing is behind us.
Well, first, are we talking about just golf for us, not necessarily on the tour?
Both.
Okay. Golf.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing was actually my favorite, happened before the pandemic, and that was leaving the flag in.
Yes. Totally agreed. Agreed. I think at first, because I belonged to a private club here at that time, and I've since I took a leave of absence because I'm traveling so much to Oak Island. But I think at first at my course, I noticed it right away. It slowed down play because nobody knew what to do, and there was a lot of discussion about it. But then, just a few.
That's got to take 3 or 4 holes, though. I mean, that can't.
Well, I felt like it took more like 3 or 4 weeks for it to kind of people to get in the groove of, and people started leaving it or taking it out right away pre-pandemic. And then it definitely sped up play. I mean, I could tell right away, like around the green complexes, things are moving so much faster because there was no discussion about it. It was just, it's staying in, especially during the pandemic. There was no choice. And I don't know what they've done on the courses around you, but some courses have the little foam things in the cup. Others have
that. Well, we were getting to the next. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
No, that was the next one that I know that I'll never get my wish on this one, but I personally, some people thought it was cheating. I personally loved having the cup sticking out of the ground.
Yeah.
So all you had to do is brush it by.
Yeah.
As long as it touched that thing, that counted as good. I love that. I was making putts like crazy because I was just whacking the ball at the thing, and if it just brushed by, it's like, oh, that's good. It hit the hole. We're good.
Now there's a lesson.
I almost had 2 hole-in-ones this year because of those things
hitting
those
the cup,
things sticking out of the ground. Yeah, but they didn't stay in the cup.
Well, there's a lesson in that about putting, I think, because I've heard guys on your very podcast talk about being aggressive through the ball, like not decelerating and what you do from impact on in a putt. And I think when you've got a cup to aim at, and you just don't care how fast it's going in a sense. You just want to hit it. Like, you're way more aggressive through the ball. So we're probably actually putting better like that a little bit, right?
Yeah, because we're always trying to finesse the ball drop right into the cup. We always want that Nike logo just sticking up for 1/2 more beat, right? As opposed to playing to the back end of the cup or a foot behind the cup. Just trying to get it there. And what happens? You end up short and you lose a couple bucks because, you're playing wimps or something. And you're always ending up short on your putts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 100% of short putts don't go in.
Absolutely. I also love what they've done with a lot of places have done with tee times, where because of the pandemic, it's been kind of automated. It's all automated. And, you have to pre-book your tee time, and you can just do it with a click of a button. And there's always that confusion when you go to play golf somewhere in a public course. Like, can I just show up as a single? What do I do? It's like, that's all been taken off the table. It's like, if you don't have a tee time, don't show up. You know what I mean? Because of the pandemic. And I'd love that to happen. They also had to stagger the tee times a little bit. So I've noticed that the play during the pandemic was way better. And I think more people were trying to golf too.
No question.
Right. And yet, because they didn't cram the tee times on top of each other because of social distancing concerns, the pace of play where I was playing was awesome. Like, we had room to breathe on either side of us. I hope that stays somehow.
Well, you're an East Coast person and I'm not. So what happened was, once the clocks changed, you guys went into hibernation and we got 3 or 4 hours cut off of our golf time.
Oh.
It was impossible to get a tee time at that point.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you had to book many weeks in advance to get a Wednesday late tee time. At that point is noon to get your full round in, because you don't know how slow it's going to be. Right. I mean, there have been a couple times I've played where, like, the shadows are gone. Yeah. They were really long on the last hole, but they're gone now. And you can, did anybody see that? I didn't see that. Could you see the ball? Nope. Couldn't see the ball. We'll have to take our guess.
That's great. I also think they've gotten really creative, and I hope this sticks around. They've got creative with some of these matches they've been doing with different celebrities and different professionals because of what happened with the pandemic. I would love those exhibition matches. Thank you. I loved those. I enjoyed all of those. Even if it wasn't marquee names, it was just 2 tour players and whomever. Like, on the normal day when they do the pro-ams that we don't see, a few times this season, they televised that. They mic'd up 2 pros. Again, some of them not always household names, just 2 tour pros who are moderately successful in some cases. And you just watch them and they're mic'd. And I'm like, I love this. I love this.
I'll tell you, as a Golden State Warriors fan and a Steph Curry fan, I was really excited about that one, which ended up being a bust because Steph did not play well that day.
Did not.
But Barkley, bring him back. Barkley was hilarious.
So funny.
And he was hitting the ball. He was the X factor that is like, if he had played what we expected him to play like, it would have been a much closer match. But I loved the match.
Yeah.
And each one of those, I thought that was great. Miking. Okay, there's another one that happened during this. Miking players.
Amen.
Was awesome.
Love it. I can't hear enough. I mean, we are golf nerds, to be sure, but
yeah,
even my wife, who's not, when you hear a caddy player interaction, that's just human interest. Like, hearing 2 people discuss a thing that they might disagree on is just interesting. I don't care what sport it is, and hearing how they process it and the math that's going into it and what they're thinking. I think I love it. I love it.
Yep. Completely agree. Like when they try to sneak in on a huddle on an NBA sideline, right?
Yes.
They're not gonna play anything that is strategically important. They can't, because the opposition's watching.
Right.
I mean, we learned from baseball with, what the Astros did and the cheating like that. But for golf, you're not allowed to coach, right? Yeah. But you can have a conversation. I want to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I love it.
You're hearing, and when you're hearing in the background, "You're the man, Tiger." Yeah, I don't. Shut up. Who asked that guy? Did he pay extra for that ticket?
It's nice not to hear so much of that. But now it's all polite applause from the condos on the course. You can hear like the residents that happen to live on that course get to watch these things, and you get
but then they have 15 people sitting on their balcony not wearing masks. Come on,
they're all in the same bubble.
Uncomfortable.
They're all in the same bubble.
Yeah, but I know, but no, they're not. Do you find when you're watching TV shows that were done in different eras and these people get together and they hug and they're everything, you're going, no, go away from me. Don't touch them.
It's funny. I watch a lot. It's funny. I watch a lot of like kind of live music, like my favorite bands, old concerts and stuff with my son. And I mostly get a feeling, I don't get so much that of like get away from each other. I get like, oh God, I miss it. I miss going to, oh God. Music. Yeah. So I get this sad melancholy of like, oh, when is that going to happen again?
I'll tell you one has nothing to do with golf. It has to do with Zoom.
Fine. Keep it going.
But yeah, who cares? So the thing about Zoom is people don't, well, you and I are broadcasters, right? We come from the school of broadcasting. And, I love podcasting for narrowcasting, but people don't realize they're on a screen and they're like kind of having to perform. And when, there's things in Zoom, some Zoom etiquette that they should learn about, and how to frame a picture at the very least.
Yes, absolutely. And people have the pandemic has kind of forced people. A lot of people have tidied up their online presentation or their offices because of like now they're doing Zooms and they never did it before. So they're kind of seeing other people like you who are doing it in a professional manner. And then they're seeing themselves on screen go like, oh gosh, you can see what's behind me. Maybe I should tidy up my bookshelf or whatever it is. Right. So I've got a few life ones I'd like to stay after the pandemic.
Go for it.
Okay. Here's one. My son's high school, the seniors, of course, no high school did, but they didn't do the normal graduation. Right. And at first we were like, oh, those poor kids, they don't get to do their graduation, right? So they did a parade through town, like a car parade.
Right.
And we went because my son knew some seniors and Fred, my wife and I are both crying. It was one of the most beautiful experiences. I mean it. I was like, it was unbelievable. And not only should they keep it, but it was like, I said to my wife, I go, we're not sitting in a hot field listening to crappy speeches for 3 hours that no one wants to be there. Those things, right? It was as if these kids had won a championship. Everyone in town was lined up. They got a ticker tape parade for all intents and purposes. Wheeled down the center of my town. The kids loved it. They decorated their cars. Everyone's clapping and cheering. I'm like, this has to stay post-pandemic. Let's keep the parades for the kids. I loved it.
I loved what the Democrats did with the convention this year for, the virtual convention. It was so much more interesting and entertaining by just going all over the country than what we've seen in the past in conventions. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, there's some things that have to stay. And there's some things that we'll always go, remember the day?
Yeah,
right. I remember. Yeah, right.
If I never see another mask after this thing, it won't be too soon.
So wait, when you are you not going to be wearing masks? Say you got both shots.
No way.
When you're traveling airports, going to other cities. No
way. I hate them. I'm kind of one of those guys. I feel I do it because we have to, and when we're told to do it, and I'm respectful to people's space. But as soon as I don't have to, I'm not going to. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel restricted. I just hate it. I don't know what it is. It's just it's
not something we want to get you.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, people might feel safe. I've noticed people at airports for years wearing them way before the pandemic, right? From different countries, they'll wear them a lot.
From
yes,
Asian countries. Yeah.
I happen to have here. I'll show you. It happens to be in my pocket. I wear this a lot because it's a
okay.
Little,
so I'm going to have to narrate this. For you. Is it it's from the Curse of Oak Island mask.
I'll just throw that on for you so you can see. I wear that a lot so I can promote the show while I'm traveling. I actually traveled right through the pandemic. As soon as the restrictions were lifted, I traveled a lot actually. Yeah. And I went to some weird places that were like high on the list, and I never got it, knock on wood. And it was very bizarre traveling. There's a few travel things I want to stay post-pandemic as well.
Yeah.
Like how we're loading planes these days makes way more sense.
I don't know. I haven't been in an airport since last January.
You know what they do? Because of social distancing concerns. Tell me.
I need to take a break. And I'm going to run out to go get a mask. I want to see if you can figure out what this, because I thought it would be a really great mask and nobody got it. So let's take this break and we'll be right back.
Love it. I think the last time we did this, you had just got that puppy.
Oh, yeah, my puppy. All right. So now we're back. What is it? Can you see my mask?
I know exactly what that is. I think is that it's one of two things. Mm-hmm. It's the Mad Magazine guy.
Right. Alfred E. Newman.
Alfred E. Newman. Right.
What? Me, Larry?
I got it.
And people look at it. They don't say anything or they go, "That's a terrible picture of you." It's not me. It's supposed to be funny. But it's not funny. Thank you for getting it.
That's awesome. I loved Mad magazines as a kid.
And what about golf? So we were talking about we were talking about things that changed. We had some rule changes at the beginning of the year. Then all of a sudden they became, we need more rule changes. Are there more things in golf that you liked or didn't like about what we had to deal with during 2020? Now that it is 2020 is hindsight.
Yeah, I like some of the I'm always thrown by like super pristine bunkers. You know, I feel like I'm damaging. Like when they're super nice, I always feel like bunkers should be more like a British Open, when it's kind of wild and bumpy and like, if you get a bad lie, you get a bad lie type of thing. I'm a little bit of a purist when it comes to bunkers. And so this, with the pandemic, you couldn't touch the rakes. So, there's different rules, local rules. For some people, you can roll them right out of the back of the bunker in the winter because it's not even sand in New England. They're just like mud piles. But this whole thing about just kind of leaving them alone and not being so worried about how they're raked and groomed, I like. I would find a little bit of that.
So no more rakes in your golf courses either. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I would like that to be done like you do course maintenance. Like at night, fine.
Sure.
Smooth them all out and everything. But as the day goes on, it's like,
they don't have rakes in the bunkers where you are anymore either, right? They took all the rakes away.
Right. You can't rake them. Right.
Okay. So what about with your force and with your group when you're out there? If the ball lands in a footprint, what do you say?
Good luck, brother.
Oh, really? See, my guys are like, you can move the ball. You can reposition it.
We do too.
Okay.
We do too. I was being trying to be funny.
And for me personally, if I'm in the bunker and I get out, I rake it up with my shoe. I'm cleaning it up.
Sure, I do too.
Leave my ball mark.
Yeah, I do the little.
I mean, I understand the footstep thing, but you don't leave your ball, your divot there.
Yeah,
clean it
up. Yeah.
Be a polite citizen, please.
I have this thing about it where I hate the rule that. It's funny. I used to feel like the only one. I think I've actually. I have. On this very podcast, during the Matties, I have kvetched about this, that if you hit a fairway, if a professional hits a fairway in the middle of the fairway and hits a 300-yard drive, I remember we talked about this, and your ball happens to land in a divot that you can't roll it backwards out of that divot, is to me obscene. And it's going to cost someone a major. And then everyone's going to clamor to change the rule, because here's what's going to happen. One day, it's just by law of statistics, it's bound to happen. It's going to be the 18th hole at Augusta, or it's going to be the first hole of a playoff for a major. And two great warriors are going to come down. One's going to hit a 300-yard drive down the middle. The other's going to match him with a 300-yard drive down the middle. But one of them's going to, luckily, by luck and chance, happen to roll into a bad divot. And he's going to skull it over the back of the green and lose the major. And you know what everyone's going to do on golf Twitter? We got to change this rule. Why couldn't he roll it back out of the divot? That's just bad luck. He lost the major because of luck. That's not fair. And yet we go into a bunker where we expect it all to be cleaned and raked and exactly level. How dare you hit out of a footprint? So I'm like, which is it? Which is it, USGA? Which is it, golf? Like, why are we,
excellent
what I mean?
I don't like hitting out of divots. Nobody likes hitting
stupid.
Out of divots.
And now, if you roll into the first cut of rough, or if you're in the woods, or if you're somewhere you shouldn't be, then fine, all bets are off. But if you get penalized for hitting the ball where it should go based on luck, that to me is not fair. And they say, well, learn how to hit the ball out of a divot. Well, divots come in all different shapes and sizes. Some are bad, some are loose, some are tight. So, you don't know. It's a guess.
No, I think that your point. I think your point about it being, if you're going to hit out of a divot on the fairway, why can't you hit out of a footprint?
Right.
Right. In a bunker. I think that's an excellent point.
So I wish
like
to clean that up. And I have another wish list, and this is somewhat related to COVID. I'm going to tie it into COVID.
Okay.
This has been in my craw for a long time. I don't understand why a professional athlete, and yes, I believe golfers are athletes. I do, at the highest level. Okay.
Absolutely. Especially now.
So why can't that athlete wear, and there's another thing that the PGA tries to have it both ways. PGA does their advertising. They go, we're athletes. These guys are athletes. These guys are good. This isn't a game. These are your athletes. Well, can he wear athletic shorts? No. He has to wear khakis and suit.
I was hoping we get to clothes.
Oh my God. So post-pandemic, post a time where there's been all this death and mayhem, how could anyone that works at the PGA take themselves seriously and stick to some sort of dress code is beyond me. Like, you're so lucky you're playing this game. You're so lucky you're playing this sport with your athletes. If they want to wear shorts, like, what world are we living in? It's still going to adhere to this dress code. Like, it just drives me crazy. So I'm hoping that the PGA Tour Commissioner, who by all rights and by all, actually my father played golf with his father, the new PGA Tour Commissioner. And
oh, really?
Everybody says this kid's great. This man, I think he's about my age, whatever he is. He's maybe 50 something. Jay Monahan, I think. Mm-hmm. Everybody says he's a great guy and that he's a salt of the earth guy and that he's a players commissioner. I hope he realizes, like, why can't these phenomenal athletes, how old's Tony Finau? 24? I don't know. I'm pulling that, 20 something. He can't wear Nike shorts on a golf course in an athletic event. That is obscene to me. I just don't get it. And so every time I watch the tournament, I'm like, why can't they wear shorts? I know it's stupid, but it drives me crazy.
Okay. So would you care if they wore like a pair of basketball shorts, or do you want them to be like shorts with a belt loop and, like we wear on, like everybody else wears when they play golf during the summer?
Whatever that athlete is comfortable in, he should be able to wear. I mean, why not?
It kind of made a slight change with Tiger and Nike, because he started coming out with these low collared, not even collared shirts,
right.
Just look like t-shirts kind of
yes.
way, but they were nice material.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so then people were like, no, we can't do anything because it's Tiger.
It's Tiger. They let him do it. Absolutely.
Right. And when Nike and big money companies get involved in the sport, you think big money companies are involved in golf? When they get involved, they're allowed to wear their watch on the damn course, right? Yeah. But not a GPS watch. It's got to be a Rolex.
Yeah. Oh, how about that? Post-pandemic
GPS.
Keep. Why can't caddies shoot the target with those little GPSs? Talk about speeding up play. No more pacing back and forth. If everyone can do it, it's no longer an unfair advantage.
Right.
Let them shoot with the gun. But yeah, the short thing. And then you can watch the LPGA Tour, which, by the way, has increased in popularity because probably a lot of the pandemic, people were shut in and it was the only sport they could watch. Sure. And they're realizing how incredible these athletes are on the LPGA Tour. And I actually encourage my son, who's a golfer, I go, watch these gals, because they watch their swings, not these guys. Those girls, the fluidity of their swings, how their short games, great for a young golfer to watch, I think. And so we watch a lot of LPGA Tour. So that's another thing I hope sticks after the pandemic, the rise of the popularity of the LPGA Tour. But those girls can literally wear whatever they want. They're in full on yoga pants and athletic, shirts and wearing whatever the hell they want. So why can't Jordan Spieth wear shorts? It's just, I hope they change that. I really do.
I do too.
It's silly to me. And then Terrell Hatton, I'm on a roll here, Fred.
Go for it.
Terrell Hatton got in trouble this year. Not in trouble, but he was critiqued by some circles, and if I remember the story correctly, I think one of the courses that he was going to said we don't want him wearing that. He wore a hoodie. So it was a cold day, European Tour. Do you remember the story? He wore a sleeveless vest and a hoodie, and I think it was like a link sole hoodie too, or some golf apparel hoodie. It wasn't like he just pulled a crappy sweatshirt out of his closet. Like, it was like good golf apparel. But people were like, you can't wear a hoodie on a golf course. I'm like, people are literally on ventilators. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Didn't he wear it when he was posing with the trophy?
Yes. Well, so then he wore it again because he was like, F you, basically, to the people who are right. And good for him. And so then, he won and he put it on. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just if we really want to grow the game, those archaic country club rules, to a point. If you want to say no jean shorts, fine. If you want to say no cutoffs, fine. That's fine. But for an athlete and by the way, it's probably dangerous. You play down in Texas, in the early summer, it could be 105 there, and they got to wear long pants,
with high humidity too.
Crazy. So I just hope, I know it's a stupid thing, but when you're passionate about a sport like we are, it's little things like this that you go like, why can't we change this? Especially again, post pandemic, when we're just lucky to be playing the game. How you can be hung up on something like that is beyond me. I was looking at the comments on golf social media, people going like, what are these golfers wearing? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
We're playing during a pandemic. Who cares? I don't care if they wear a one-piece leisure shoot. Fine.
A jumper. A one-piece jumper. Golf jumper. Matty, you want to start a business?
Let's trademark that right now.
One-piece golf shorts. Jumper shorts. Lederhosen. That's it. We'll wear Lederhosen.
With the built-in belt, built into it.
And suspenders.
Suspenders. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of my local courses here, Pga Gap, I've talked about. I was talking to the GM the other day, and he says that usually they do about 46,000 rounds a year. Okay. 2020, they had over 66,000 rounds. There were 50 million more rounds in the United States, I read recently. Can't remember where. 50 million more rounds in the United States than the previous year. Well,
Wow.
That's because people were shut in. They were shut in with their family. It became a family game.
Yes.
And for people like us, it became a real test of our patience because there were a lot of people out there who didn't know basic etiquette. And now that's it's interesting that I'm bringing basic etiquette when we're talking about clothes and who cares, it's COVID. There are still elements of golf. Don't take 10 shots on a hole.
Right.
Don't go looking for free golf balls in the water or in the woods.
Right.
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 Just play your game, keep moving. I understand. And please, if there's two people in a cart, which there shouldn't be these days, but if there's two people in a cart, drop the guy off at his ball and then go to your ball. You don't have to sit there and wait for him to hit and then go to your ball to figure out what you're going to do. Keep the pace of play moving, please.
Amen. No, this is what this is for. I remember talking to a guy named Hunky Yoon. He was for the USGA. He was an executive for the USGA when I had my
TV gig.
Yes, the golf show Off Par with Matty Blake on DirecTV, Back Nine Network.
Yep.
The now defunct Back Nine Network. And we had
we were great on it. We were awesome.
Oh, that's right. I had you on the show. That's right.
Multiple times. We were great.
Times.
Yeah,
you were awesome on it.
Yeah, no. I mean, you even said the producer wrote back, who is that guy? That was fun. Yeah. You guys were good together. Yeah, my wife always goes, you guys were so good together.
He loved it. Anyway, this guy Hunky Yoon, he was if I remember, if I'm saying his name correctly, but he was an executive for the USGA, and they did like a 3-year long study on timing, and we got really into it. And then even off the air, I was talking to him, and I said, I've noticed a thing where when play is slow, they did a chapter in their findings, like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. And hear me out for 1 second. It's really fascinating about slow play. When play is slower, a little backed up, play slows down. And that sounds really overly simplistic, but here's what happens. We have an obligation as a golfer to play the hole as quickly as we can within reason, right? To just play respectfully, as you mentioned. When play slows down and that group knows they're going to wait on the next tee box, they slow way down. And the psychological thought is, well, I'm going to be waiting on the next tee box anyway. So what am I rushing for? And they slow down. And the statistics show they slow down considerably. So yes, you're going to wait on the next tee box, but you've got an empty green in front of you. You still have an obligation to play that hole as quickly as reasonable, to keep your play moving. But knowing it's slow and it's like a rat that eats its own tail, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And now those tee boxes are going to back up even worse, and people are going to slow down more. So, their message was, the USGA message was like, don't worry about what's in front of you. Don't worry about what's behind you. Play the hole in front of you as quickly as reasonably possible. Always, no matter what. Even if you think you're going to wait on the next tee box, finish the freaking hole. And it'll help. So that's the message we want to send out to public golfers. And if you swung a club less than 100 times, you probably shouldn't be on a regulation golf course. You should be at the range, or you should be at a par 3.
Yes.
Right?
100%. Yes. And we have a couple of 9 holes around here. Go play those.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Go play those until you can advance it with some regularity.
Everybody wants consistency. All right, let's take another timeout, and then we'll be right back and start talking about the future. Woo! Are you familiar with the book Golf in the Kingdom? It's the greatest selling golf novel in history. And I don't mean just it's great. I mean it is the greatest selling book that's a golf novel in all of history. But it's not about swing mechanics. No, it's a novel of self-discovery that has endured the test of time and is required reading for any golfer who understands the influence and the power of the mental / emotional / spiritual part of the game. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, we bring back episode number 195, one of those memorable episodes for me, because I sat down face-to-face with author Michael Murphy to discuss the book, its legacy, and its power.
Warner Brothers had it for 10 years for Clint Eastwood, and he finally couldn't find a way to his satisfaction to make it. And as he's become a greater and ever greater film director, and has obviously got tons of integrity about this, but it just wasn't his to do, and so we've got it back, and now I'm ending up with Mindy Afram owning it, and with Susan Streitfeld having written the screenplay. She's the lead writer on it, so I get to have the fun of making a feature film out of the book I wrote.
That's episode 94 of Golf Smarter Mulligans, featuring Michael Murphy, author of Golf in the Kingdom, being released this Friday. Both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe to both. And when you do, you'll be notified immediately when a brand new episode of either has downloaded to your favorite podcast app. I was going over my spreadsheet, Matty B.
Yes.
And it looks like I was, the MattyB Awards. I was trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So we did our first one. It was a members only in 2009. Wow. And we did 2010, 2011, 2012. We did a members only 2013. The 6th annual 2014, 2015, 2017. Oh, because we did it 2017 to recap 2016. All right, because we did it instead of doing it in December, we did it in January. Then we did 2018 and 2019. We've been pretty consistent on this, and people still want to know why you were making fun of Oosthuizen.
That'll haunt me for the rest of my
That
day.
was a long time ago.
That was.
And what did you say? What was it about? You were saying that he won a major, I think it was.
Yeah, I simply said that the unique difficulty, as I remember it, I was highlighting the fact that when the conditions are at a certain level, it can bring out winners who are a bit of an anomaly. Not to say he's not a world-class player, he is, but I said, I don't think this guy's going to go on and win, 5, 6, 7 majors. I was proven to be right, by the by. But, I was just saying it's kind of a freak major in a way when the conditions get that crazy or difficult or windy or whatever it was. So that's all I was saying. And then people were like, he's a world-class player. But I'm like, I know, I just don't think he's not one of the guys, the handful of guys that are going to win 5 majors, perhaps.
And that's also the problem of doing a show that gets distributed globally. And people are like, wait a minute, that's my cousin.
Yeah, I know how great, he's a great player. And he's got, what a great swing he's got.
Yeah.
And I just realized as you said that, Fred, how perfect in a way, this was a happy accident. But we're not doing a traditional Matty's this year. Yeah. And out of all the years for that to happen, this is the perfect year not to do it traditionally because everything's been changed this year, right? So it was a happy accident in a way.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to bring it back for the next year. All right. So what do you expect to see? Let's just talk about what you are expecting, anticipating, excited about, concerned over in 2021 PGA Tour.
Well, something really wild happened with the PGA Tour and me this year. And that is a player who I was never like a huge fan of. I didn't not like him. I just found him kind of, I don't know, a little bit of a kind of a jock type of guy. He won me over this year, and that is Dustin Johnson. And I actually felt sympathy for him. I felt hope for him. I felt, he's the type of guy. I loved him. I loved him on our, like, when he played for America, like on a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup or something. Like, I was glad he was ours. But if he's just in contention for a championship, I'm kind of like, Dustin Johnson, there's so many other guys I want to win. Well, this year at the Masters, I found myself really rooting for him because the guy's had some struggles. And when you think about it, Fred, he's honestly, it's the worst kept secret in golf that he was suspended for, improper behavior or whatever you want to call it. Drug use, let's call it what it is, or
abuse.
But he never did anything in public or said anything stupid or bad or offensive. He just kept his mouth shut and tried to win tournaments. And at a certain point, everyone started. Put it this way. I don't think you could be as skilled at golf as he is and as good at golf as he is and be a dumb guy. And he's got this reputation of being a quote unquote dumb guy, a little bit, a dumb jock, I don't think he is. I think he's super thoughtful. And some of that came out this year at Augusta. People really talked about his preparation and he won me over and I started rooting for him. And I want him to continue succeeding. Not that he needs any more success in life. He's got like a model wife, a superstar father-in-law. He's already a multi-millionaire, but you know what I mean? I felt empathy for him and I was glad he kind of broke through and got that other major and kind of got some demons off his back. He had some tough luck at some majors. He really did. So I hope that continues. The other big thing, my hope and wish and feeling I have about 2021 is, I've said this before and I've been burnt on it before, but this time I mean it. I really do have a feeling. I think we might see the return of Jordan Spieth. And it's my number one hope for this year coming up. I think when I found out he had consulted with Butch Harmon, I was like, all right, that's good. New set of eyes. He's willing to do anything that it takes. Because for a long time, Fred, he was doing this thing where he's going, as he was struggling, he was doing this thing that a lot of athletes do. They have to, in a sense, to kind of protect themselves. He was going, I'm not in a slump. I'm just, this is golf. I'm finding it. He was kind of defensive about it. And then when I found out he was going for another set of eyes, like, all right, he's kind of hit rock bottom, I think, Yeah. And he's willing to do anything it takes. And I just love Jordan Spieth. I love his story. I don't know if I told this story on your podcast before, but I took my son to go see him in Connecticut at the PGA Tour in Connecticut. And this was a few years back. Max was little, and it's when Jordan was kind of at his peak. And he was tied for the lead or in second place on a Saturday round. And he makes a double bogey on this kind of gettable par 5. It's Cromwell, Connecticut. And he makes a double bogey, and he's walking off the green. And he's pissed. You can tell. He's pissed. He made a double bogey on an easy par 5. And it kind of knocked him down. I remember the leaderboard. He was either in second or first, and he was like knocked down to it was one of those tournaments that everyone was so bunched up, like the double bogey knocked him down to 10th. You know what I mean? Like tied for 10th. It was just like because everyone was so bunched up, or 8th or whatever it was. So he sees the leaderboard and he's kind of cursing to himself. Now at this tournament, his brother, I think, played at Brown University basketball, actually. So his family was in town in the New England area. And, he's got a sister with special needs. That's been well documented. Well, she's sitting on the back of a cart and he's mad. He's in the middle of this tournament. People, Jordan, everyone's screaming. He sees her. And I said to Max, I go, watch this, watch this. And because I watched it happen, he gathered himself, took a deep breath, turned the corner, big smile. Hey, sits on the cart with her, hugs her, and the cart drives off because they had to drive him to the next tee box. It was so far away. And I said, Max, that's the type of kid that's who that guy is. You know what I mean? And so ever since then, I've rooted for him. And he saw Max, and I took Max back, and he tossed Max a golf ball. Wow. He's just the best. He's the best. So I just root for him. I always will. I love the kid, and I just hope he finally comes back.
Interesting. Do you think COVID has had an impact on cynicism, yours or in general?
I think a lot of people were forced to look internally because all our normal distractions were taken away from us. And I think a lot of people have come out worse for it, but I think a lot of the people that were paying attention have come out of this thing better spiritually. I really do. And I don't know if it's helped or hurt for cynicism, because if you look online and maybe it's hurt.
Yeah, but right. There's still social media.
Right. But I can tell you that the people I deal with and the people in my neighborhood, for example, it's brought us closer. I'll give you a quick example. The people on my street, I live on the water. I'm blessed enough to live on the water. And every neighbor on my street this summer during the lockdown started putting lawn chairs on the street. It's a dead end on the water at the end of my street. So they're basically outside my house, but on the street in a huge circle in lawn chairs. And it became a regular thing. And I said to my wife, I said, this is like the 40s. This is what they used to do back in the day before TV and everything, right? Like neighbors knew each other. And like, there were neighbors I didn't even know lived on my street.
Oh, wow.
And so we became much closer. Like Halloween was awesome because we did a parade for the kids on my street. So in a micro level, I saw the benefits of this thing in terms of my interaction with other human beings in my own backyard. And we've all become closer. I've become closer to my neighbor here. So I hope the answer to your question is that it has helped with cynicism and helped people understand what's really important. Got families golfing, for example. That's a wonderful benefit of this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you? How did you come out of this?
My wife and I every night practically are going, I'm so glad if I have to be stuck indoors with somebody, it's you. Oh. We've gotten so much closer, and we've joked about we are human doings, not human beings. This has forced us to be human beings. Amen. This has forced us to chill out.
Yes.
And it's taken this long, but just in the last couple of weeks, my wife is telling me that she's starting to get comfortable not having plans all the time, not needing to run outside, not having to go out and do lunch. She goes for a walk every day. She was furloughed. She ended up, that job ended. So she's now, whether you want to call it retired or self-employed, but she's really changed. That's really helped her. I've worked in a room by myself my entire career. So, that didn't change much. I still don't do a lot of Zoom meetings. I email with clients now. I rarely talk on the phone. My phone rarely rings. And so there has been it took time to get used to this rhythm. And now that rhythm is our rhythm, it feels really good.
And my gratitude, I'll tie this back to golf because this is at the end of the day a golf podcast. my gratitude, I mentioned at the beginning, and this also ties back to what we were talking about at the beginning. I mentioned I left my club. I took a leave of absence.
Yeah.
And I noticed what started to happen pre-pandemic was, dare I say, golf was becoming something I expected and almost demanded. And I found the matches I was playing in were getting very competitive. And now when I golf, my gratitude for just being outside and playing a game or sport is way increased. And my gratitude level in life has increased. My gratitude level for this studio, I'm sitting in my own home. I am right on your wife's page because you know me, you've known me for years. I've got a high motor. I need to do something. I need to be creating something. And I freak out if I feel like the world's passing me by. And this pandemic really helped with that. I just went, you need to be okay sitting in your home with your wife and your kid, and they're safe, and your dog, go for a walk, just like your wife. And so I noticed in golf that I am so grateful just to be, as opposed to, I got to play golf today. It's, I get to play golf today. My God. Right.
That's huge.
So.
Wow. That's really big. All right. Wrap it up. I have one question, and this could take you another 5 minutes to answer this, but I've been holding off on this one, and I'm not even going to talk about other things, but we found out this weekend that Tom Brady is going back to the Super Bowl without the Patriots. I had to ask you. Now, I see this Super Bowl as the old guard versus the new guard, the transition, Mahomes and Brady. It couldn't be a better matchup. You got last year's Super Bowl winner and probably the greatest quarterback of all time. I will, as a Montana fan, Joe Montana fan, I will still say that Brady has probably got to be in that conversation, if not hands down. But he upset a lot of New Englanders when he left the Pats. How you doing with this? That's all for today. Thank you very much. We got to go. We've run out of time, folks. Go ahead, Matty. I'm sorry.
Well done. Get comfortable. No. What's worse, Fred, a guest who only gives one-word answers or a guy who goes off on tangents like me as a host?
It's a host who asks multiple questions. and the guest is sitting going, what should I answer?
No, I got this. Tom Brady has eclipsed Larry Bird as a Massachusetts born and raised masshole that I am as my all-time favorite athlete in any sport.
Wow.
I heard Tom Brady on an interview about 2 years ago, and he said, it was a radio interview, and he said, nobody believes me when I say this, but every day when I wake up, I try to be a little bit better, and I pick a different area. And, whether it's husband, father, athlete, neighbor, whatever, client of company, I try to be a little bit better. What can I do today that's a little bit better? And he goes, I honestly mean that. And I just heard it in his voice. Like, he's sincere. And he's a younger man than me, but that literally motivated me. And I was like, how can I do my job in Oak Island better? I was kind of coasting like, this is an awesome job. And I'm like, no, how can I do it better? I started studying my own game film, which I never did. So he's been completely inspirational to me. I think if you look at the numbers, it's staggering. And people have this bad habit with him. They always try to make excuses for his greatness. They say, well, he was a Belichick. Well, what are you going to say now? Right. Well, he doesn't throw the long ball. Yeah, he does. He's got some of the best long ball numbers in the game right now at this age. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers had a team like Brady. Brady won the Super Bowl with two very average Patriots teams. And we don't have time to go into it now, but they were not that great.
And he just beat Aaron Rodgers.
I know his numbers are staggering. So I think he's unquestionably the greatest quarterback of all time. Remember, he played for the Patriots, but he's not a Massachusetts guy. He's a Northern California kid.
Yes,
so I have no like DNA tie to him. I just watched this guy be the greatest I've ever seen at doing that job. The players around him want to crawl through glass for him wherever he goes. That's a huge part of it. You can be as talented as you want. You can throw like Mahomes does, but if those players in football don't want to battle for him, it might be a 2-3 year thing, and that's it. He's a champion. He's a warrior. I love him. I don't care what team he plays for. I was sad he didn't, end up with the Patriots, but I rooted for him the other night like it was a Pats game. I loved it. So I'm a bandwagon Buccaneers fan as long as Tom Brady is there. Go Tom.
Right. Listen, I've driven the bus on bandwagons many times. I don't care. It's like, to me, it's who's playing right now? Okay, I'll root for him. It's like, I hate both these teams. I refuse to watch. No, it's like, I don't care.
Well, didn't the great Jerry Seinfeld said, if you get so into your hometown team, but they trade players at a certain point, you realize you're rooting for laundry.
Oh, yeah. We're rooting for colors. Yeah. We're rooting for colors.
Yeah. And I'll always love my Pats, but Tom's the man. I want him to get another one.
Okay. All right. Got, and Brady, Northern California guy, he went to the same high school that Barry Bonds went to.
San Mateo, is that right?
No. Sarah High School in San Mateo.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so here you have two of the, and we've just lost Hank Aaron, and if anyone ever listens to the Radio Baseball Cards podcast, there's two of them with Hank Aaron. One where they're on YouTube now, where he describes the night he broke Babe Ruth's record, and then the other episode is his the influence that Jackie Robinson had on him. So yeah, we have a couple of great stories, but
awesome.
Yeah, but. Yes, Barry Bonds has more home runs, whether you want to question that or not. Fake news, who knows? But Barry Bonds and Brady both went to. Do you ever come in contact with Henry Aaron or Tommy Lasorda? Did you ever have contact with either?
I never did. My dad was a huge Hank Aaron fan. Hank Aaron and Mickey Mantle were his two favorite players of all time. And there's a Boston guy born and raised, It's funny. I think I've told you the story before. He has like back in the house I grew up in, the basement was a Boston sports shrine. And then right in the middle of all this Boston stuff,
Mickey Mantle,
little Yankees pinstripe frame with Mickey Mantle. And he'd always say, don't you ever say anything about him. Don't you? He's the greatest player. He said he's the greatest player you ever saw, Mickey Mantle.
So when I was working in radio, I was production director of this radio station, and famous people would come in, and I may have told you this story. Famous people would come in to, do an interview and promote whatever they're promoting. And then afterwards, they always had to stop in my studio to do that. Hi, this is Hank Aaron, and you're listening to 560, right? And listening to doing the promos. So when they would come in, I'd say, I don't collect autographs. It's great to meet you. I don't collect autographs, but could you read this for me? And I would write them a script, and they would make outgoing phone messages for me.
Oh, it's so awesome. So much better than an autograph.
I will send you the one I did with Mickey Mantle.
Oh my God. That would be
awesome. Have one. Well, it all started because John Madden, who people think is Madden's a video game. They don't have any idea who he was. It's amazing how many young people have. If you ask your son, who is Madden? You'll go, he's a video game.
Yeah.
Not a clue, right? Anyway, I was his engineer for 3 years. And so he used to make outgoing messages for me all the time. And I had all these different people, and I got Mickey Mantle, and I've got Wally and the Beaver. They were in 3 years apart, but I saved the tape. The best one was The Fifth Dimension. I rewrote the words to Dawning of the Age of Aquarius, and they did it for me. And but I will send you the one of Mickey Mantle doing an outgoing phone message when we used to have recording.
Oh, I'll send it to my dad.
Yes, please do, and send him my best, and to Max and everybody.
You got
it. Dude, it was so great to catch up with you.
Can I tell you what? This was my favorite Matty's ever, and it wasn't even a Matty's.
Wow. You're gonna make the tear drop down my face. Oh.
We got deep, and I love it.
Yeah. Love talking to you, man. We always do. We always have so much fun together. Have a great year. It's been too long since we talked, but you're a busy traveling man. Be safe. Please be safe. All right, bud.
You too.
If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions on what you'd like to hear in an upcoming episode, I'd love to hear from you. Use @GolfSmarter in social media. Subscribe to Golf Smarter TV on YouTube. Or just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.